This dude was actually a kind of a jackass. I was at, I have an enterprise client and they were doing this luncheon here in Scottsdale and they brought in some top producers for a golf outing, lunch and a dinner at a nice restaurant. So I come to the dinner, I get introduced to this producer and he says, his name wasn't Tom. We'll call him Tom. So my client, he says, "Oh, Tom, you need to meet Chuck." And he goes, the guy says to him, the three of us are standing right there. There's a bunch of people around. He goes, "Why do I need to meet Chuck?" He was kind of a smart ass, making the other guy look like a jerk, and which he's not. Very well respected in the industry. And he goes, "What does Chuck do?" And he goes, "Chuck helps some of our biggest owners, help them grow their practice. He focuses on client engagement." He goes, "Oh yeah?" He's doing this right in front of me. He goes, "So here's one for you, Chuck." So let me give you the title of this case and then we'll stop the screen share. I call it because this is what he says to the prospective buyer. He says, "If there was $10 million on the ground, would you pick it up?" So I said, "Well, tell me the situation." And he goes on to tell me about this story, this case. It's actually a friend of his. And he golfs with this guy all the time. And every time at the end of the golf outing, they go grab a beer, grab a bite at the clubhouse. And he says to his client, he says, "Johnny, if there was $10 million on the ground, would you pick it up?" I said, "That's what you tell him." He goes, "Yeah." And he goes, "Oh, and by the way, Johnny's worth $300 million and he owns no life insurance." And he was kind of arrogant. The dude's like, "Yeah, every time I meet my friend at the club," and he puffs his chest out, emphasize the club. And he goes on to say he's got 300 million, no life insurance. And I said, "And you always end it with, if there was 10 million on the ground, would you pick it up?" And he says, "Yeah." I said, "What does your friend do?" I already know the answer. And he goes, "I don't need life insurance. Would you stop talking to me about it?" And he goes, "What would you do? What would you tell my friend?" And I looked at him because he's been kind of a smart ass the whole time. And I'd say, "I'd stop saying that because that's freaking stupid." And he kind of taken back and I smirk and let him know I was just playing with him. And he looks at me, he's like, not sure if I was messing with him or not. Partially I wasn't. And I said, "Seriously, I would stop saying that." I said, "Your buddy doesn't need good ideas. He needs solutions to help him overcome problems that are getting in the way he wants. You should I'm jumping out of roll. You should start to see the patterns of this. He's showing this guy who's got no life insurance with a big fat estate tax. He's showing life insurance as if it's a good idea. Life insurance is a good idea. This guy doesn't need more good ideas than any of the other case studies. This guy needs a solution to a problem that's getting in the way of what he wants." I said, "The first thing that I want you to understand," jumping back into the role plays, I said, "I want you to understand Johnny." I said, "Johnny doesn't need good ideas. He doesn't need life insurance." He goes, "Yeah, he does. He has none." I say, "He doesn't need life insurance. I'm telling you, I don't need you to know your friend. I don't need to even have met him. He doesn't need life insurance. What he needs is a more efficient way to pay the transfer tax." And I said, "What do you think Johnny wants?" Oh, he goes, "Johnny wants what everybody else wants who's rich." And I said, "What's that?" And I'm thinking, this guy's putting everybody in a box and they all want the same thing. I said, "Humor me. What does Johnny want then?" He goes, "He wants what everybody else wants." He goes, "He wants to reduce the tax on his estate." I said, "Johnny doesn't want to reduce the tax on the estate. That's not a goal. That's a roadblock to his goal. The tax is a roadblock to his goal, and you're making it a goal, and it's not a goal. You need to understand what he wants. Why does he want to reduce that tax? Why? What is the tax getting in the way of? What is that goal? You're just showing it as a good idea." And kind of ended it there because I didn't really feel like coaching him on anymore. I showed him the patterns. It's a funny story though. I run into him about 6 months later and he goes, "Hey," he goes, "Guess what?" I said, "What?" He goes, "I got my buddy Johnny to buy $50 million of life insurance. I used what he told me. I talked about the problem and not the benefits of owning insurance." Matter of fact, my friend said he actually thanked me for finally talking about or helping him understand the problem in the absence of what he had been recommended for so many years. The prospect even shared that with him. Anyway, enough of that case study, but I want you to start to see the patterns. Don't use your products and services and pitch them as good ideas. I want you to pitch them as solutions to overcome problems that both you and your client are completely in alignment with. Don't jump across the compass. Remember the buying truths. People fix big problems. They don't fix small ones. Don't bastardize your advice by showing it as a good idea. People will fix a problem when given a choice before they'll pursue an opportunity. He was showing them an opportunity to buy life insurance and the advantages of owning it. Guy didn't need to know that. If every time I told him, I said, listen, if every time someone said I can make you 10 million bucks and he stopped what he was doing, you know what I'm about to say, right? He wouldn't have 300 million in the bank. He doesn't need good ideas. So you start to see these patterns. Let's get into the next module and keep with me. We'll see you in the next video.